Localizers of Japanese games, manga, and anime get replaced by AI, and suddenly now they care about the integrity of transitions.
Hey, what's up guys? Rev here. So on this channel, we cover any situation where localizers are catching an L, and in this situation, I have some updates where localizers...
Why do people hate localizers? They insert woke stuff? They alter the meaning of things to fit with agendas? Well, then they're not localizers, they're just liars, right? I mean, it's not your job to rewrite the story. You just take the words and put the, like... Well, then isn't it good that they have AI that can do it? That way people don't have to worry about somebody changing the words. They censor things, or sometimes don't do a great job translating between cultures. Yeah, I think that makes sense. They change things to fit within the norms of a region. Man, okay. That's weird. I wonder why somebody would do that.
Are very satisfyingly reaping what they have sowed for the past couple of years. Now, I consider a lot of the work of localizers to be the equivalent of cultural vandalism. Okay, so these people who are responsible for translating anime, manga, and alike take too much liberty with their power. They have a power trip.
Localizer starts crying at the Japanese grocery store when the cashier says arigato for the atmosphere instead of thanks for the sick purchases, dude. But remember to wash your carbon footprint with all that meat consumption? Yeah, I mean, I never have seen this happen before. Maybe I have, I just didn't notice it. Well, no, like, obviously this is like the implication is that they take conversations, then they turn them into a message or an agenda.
Where they like to use their trusted position as a localizer to insert random political messages or random Reddit tier jokes or other things like that, or just poor quality translations. And they have lost a lot of trust of consumers.
I'd like to see some examples of this. I've never seen an example of this before. I want to see some. I instantly believe this happens. Because I just know how people are. I guarantee this happens. It probably happens all the time.
Who don't want this stuff. They want a proper translation. And instead of addressing these concerns, localizers have only doubled down and rubbed their nose in anyone who is complaining about this stuff. So here's a classic example before we get into today's story.
Oh yeah, there's girls I follow on Twitter that have cosplayed her. She's great. Okay.
How bad localizations can get. This is a classic one I show anytime it's relevant. So basically you have a translation of a scene from Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid where Luca is basically saying, I wanted to wear something different so people wouldn't look at me.
Yeah.
And in the localization, it says, oh, those pesky patriarchal societal demands were getting on my nerves. Yeah, quite the leap and bound in that situation.
But no way though, right? Like, that's so outrageous. I don't even believe. Is this true? No way. That's great. Or what? No, I don't believe. I want to see it. I want to fucking see it. What's the title? Yeah, fact check right now. Yeah, I want to see it right now.
Coming. Hey. Oh, hi. What are you doing here, Lukawa?
To see you and bring these. Want some snacks?
Duh, thank you. What are you wearing that for?
Oh, those pesky patriarchal societal demands were getting on my nerves. So I changed clothes.
Give it a week, they'll be begging you to change back.
Huh?
You can come on in if you want.
And this is like real, right? Like this is it's I mean, this is so outrageous. It's like I refuse to fucking believe it. But it's right there in front of me. I see it. There it is. That's awful. Like, what? How did that happen? One of you think this is wrong? Thinks that toxic gaming industry, period? Yeah. Yeah, we do think it's wrong. And we want to be toxic in our own community without a bunch of losers coming in telling us what we can and can't talk about. That's right. We want to do our own thing. We want to do what we want to do. And get the fuck out, you don't like it. That's really the truth. I'm not going to argue with you whether it's toxic or not. Let's assume it is. All right? You either like it or get the fuck out. I wonder if this is widespread or giga isolated, though. That's the thing, dude. It's because, like, this one is so bad. Because, like, okay, so I assume... So you think about it, right? The church used to not like people to read because if people could read, they would know that what the church was saying about the Bible wasn't really what the Bible said. So, like, we did this with the church. We did this with reading in general. We do this all the fucking time. This is why, for example, mainstream media doesn't like independent media, because it breaks their control. And so I immediately believe this. But even though I immediately believe it, I have to fucking see it, bro. Because it makes sense. Because it's like, if you're the one that controls the information, you control the narrative. Fuck, of course you want to be able to do that. It tracks with human, with the human condition very well.
Bound in that situation. But today we're going to focus on reaction to this story right here.
Oh,
so,
what's this?
This tweet says, the Ancient Magus' Bride manga's return gets simultaneous English release using AI translation.
Well, that's
now, this
good,
got a
right?
lot of people talking because they are now having a conversation about how AI should be used in localizations and translations for manga and anime.
That's good.
And despite the fact that the official account for this franchise would come out and say that this was human-assisted AI, where AI was initially used, and then human review was implemented after that, a lot of people...
that's still, I mean, like, that's still huge, right? That's tremendous. Yeah, and that's really what's going to happen, by the way. It's not like AI is going to go from point A to Z, but they're going to start from like C and go to X. And then, like, humans start it, humans finish it, and, like, you know, make sure that everything is, like, just right about right, and everything else is done by AI. All of the busy work is done by AI. Like, I don't think people realize how much busy work this is removing. It's so good.
Got involved in this conversation of AI versus localizers, and as this is captioned, whoever wins.
No, what do you mean we lose? Like, if the AI says what actually the show says, then it's good. Like, this is not even a question. Who's we?
We lose. Because a lot of people acknowledge that AI translations have a lot of flaws. But at the same time...
no fucking shit. But, like, I mean, it's not about... So this is the way that it's going to be, right? This is what's going to happen. Is you're going to have people that run an AI translation through, and then they probably watch it again to make sure the translation is accurate and, like, you know, button up a few things that are a little bit awkward or stated incorrectly and, you know, make them make sense in English syntax, and then that's it. Like, so AI is going to do almost everything, but not everything. That's what's going to happen. Because
nobody is going to feel sorry for localizers because they have, for many years, exploited their position as a translator to do their own selfish things like putting in political messages and so forth. So nobody feels sorry for them. People are sad that anime and manga fans aren't getting the best translations through AI, but at the same rate, the people suffering the most from that
they weren't getting them anyway, right? I mean, because if you have a person who's translating it and then changing the meaning of things, well, I mean, they weren't getting it anyway. I mean, what the fuck?
And people are simply saying, you reap what you sow. And you might have noticed this profile picture before. This is a famous, or I should I say, infamous localizer named Katrina. We have talked about Katrina multiple times on this channel, and despite the fact she has since changed her profile picture, this was an iconic one for many years. It was like the bat signal for bad localization, not only just bad translations from her, but also bad takes regarding localization and manga and anime as a whole. Now, if you're familiar with her Twitter, if you even liked a tweet of anyone who's ever criticized her, you're probably blocked. She runs blockchain.
Let me see if I'm blocked by her. No, she not blocked me. Yeah, she should use AI to block people differently. Yeah, not yet. Yeah, she's probably gonna block me by the time she sees this video. Yeah,
non-stop.
This guy doesn't
deflect
like her.
any criticism. But of course, you guys probably aren't surprised that in this situation she had to get involved, making this...
I don't have words for how embarrassing and disappointing this is. Instead of paying a human to do a quality job, they're using AI to get a mediocre product for free. Is this how little they think of English-speaking audiences of translation? For shame. Well, I mean, fuck, couldn't somebody say that to her if she's changing what the words mean? Like...
retweet saying, I don't have words for how embarrassing and disappointing this is. Instead of paying a human to do a quality job, they're using AI to get a mediocre product for free. Is this how little they think of English-speaking audiences? Of translation? For shame. And while she's saying for shame, a lot of people are saying you reap what you sow.
Yeah, because you go back and you look at this, right? And it goes and it says this. It says 900 comments. Like, if you have a tweet that has 2,600 likes and 900 comments, that tweet didn't go well. People were not happy about that tweet. That's a very bad ratio.
You reap what you sow. Because, as this quote says, localizers, that's a new one, crying about being replaced by AI after decades of ruining Japanese media with outdated Reddit memes and their garbage political views.
Jesus Christ. And so they're not even doing it with political views? They're adding in, like, Big Chungus and shit? Oh my god. You know what's so funny about this? Yes. You know what's so funny about this is, like, these are the same people that'll get up in arms about, like, some person wearing, like, a Native American headdress. They're like, oh, it's cultural appropriation. But then they'll turn around and do this. Like, that's what's so crazy to me about it. Is like, so like, I'm of the mindset of this, right? I don't think that just participating in another person's culture is appropriation. Like, I think if you want to paint yourself up like a Native American, wear the headdress, you know, wear a kimono, wear a sombrero, I don't think that's cultural appropriation. I think it's only appropriation if you're doing it in a disingenuous way that is deliberately meant to, it's meant to change the meaning. It's meant to turn it into something else. It's meant to, you know, again, appropriate. That's the part of the word, right? Meant to appropriate it for your culture. Yeah, so that's the appropriation part is the problem. And so, yeah, I think these are the real cultural appropriators.
Reap what you sow. And that's exactly the sentiment. People just don't feel bad for localizers. They're the only ones who are absolutely foaming at the mouth over this story because they're losing jobs. Yeah. And a lot of people say you reap what you sow because you have been pushing the limits. You have continued to do things people don't like. And
that's the thing is, like, other people that don't have, like, such a... you know, such a relationship with the community that has so much animosity in it. Like, a lot of times, like, the community will support the people whenever they're saying, hey, well, we don't want to get replaced by AI. And they're like, yeah, we get that, man. That really sucks. But, like, if you have, like, this antagonistic relationship with your community and it's like your job is being done and people fucking hate you for it, then big fucking surprise, people are going to celebrate whenever you lose your job.
Consumers telling you don't want you to insert political beliefs and stupid memes into your translations. Yeah. They just keep doing it.
I want to see more examples.
And now they're paying the price for it, and nobody feels sorry for them. Even if that comes with the price of having lower quality translations through AI. You're already dealing with low quality translations when you're dealing with localizers, so a lot of people say, hey, well, at least localizers are catching an L with this AI stuff.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, here's a little bit of the greatest...
Because you look at it... Oh, great, now we're going to see some. Because you look at it and you think about it like this, right? Because, like, if you have one option, or you like, one option is you have localizers change the meaning of what's being said, and then the other option is that the syntax is fucked up because it's done by AI. Like, both options are bad. Like, and personally, I'd rather have bad syntax than like changed meanings. Personally, I would prefer AI.
Katrina, someone must have screenshotted this from one of my previous videos about her. So she's been involved in a million different localization, let's say, controversies. She's responsible for the Big Brother translation. She's infamous for supporting falsely a narrative by other localizers that a cross-dressing character in a manga series.
What is this here? I know the translator, and they've done their homework on the series, reading future volumes, consulting with trans people, and working hard to make sure it's as accurate as possible. Shame on those people listening to one rando and trashing it. I don't even know about that. I mean, yeah, like I've literally never seen this. I have no fucking idea. Petition to ban the phrase from the collective Japanese consciousness. I knew I didn't want to shove Nini into my beautiful subs, but when every fan and official translation, good or bad, has stuck with Nini, you know you're going to piss off a lot of... What's wrong with Nini?
Actually trans. She also has petitioned to ban certain phrases because she thinks that they're not fit for Western audiences. She's also the one who was criticizing many shonen manga for catering to teenage boys. And it goes...
Aren't shonen manga made for teenage boys? Well, it's not enough for her to have her own stupid fucking animes that she likes. She's got to go into our stuff and ruin it. She's got to ruin our stuff. Shonen means teenage boys. Wow. Wow, that's crazy. This is why the culture war exists? Oh yeah, I think people like this should be absolutely shit on. Oh, 100%. Because, like, you can't let these people come into your space and tell you what you can and can't do, what you can and can't say. Who the fuck says that you should listen to them? Why should anybody take anything that they're saying seriously? Now, we're all 30-year-old plus balding men here? Yeah, and we all grew up watching Dragon Ball Z, didn't we? Yeah, remember that? Frieza, Cell Saga, Majin Buu, remember that? Yeah, Pokemon, Yeah, we're not gonna let this happen. Yeah, those shows were awesome.
Goes on and on and on. Even a situation where she was corrected by another translator for...
Yeah, you should absolutely fucking push these people out. Like,
translations
100%.
and refer to that person as a rando. Yeah, very entitled. And one of her latest hits from this year, she was responsible for localizing the Dog Girl anime. If you know, you know.
Oh, yeah, I know what that is, yeah.
And even with that sort of a project, she couldn't help herself. Inserting all kinds of Gen Z language like yeeted, that they got resting bitch face, and she'll be all up in her dress. And all these goofy, unnecessary things that just piss people off. Be all up in her dress.
I feel like
and all
this
these
one is even, like, in a way, the how do you do fellow kids language is even worse than changing the political stuff. Like, I feel like this is so fucking cringe, man. I yeeted you. Because, and the reason why, I think another big reason is that, number one, it dates it. And, well, like, I think that is the reason, right? Like, you go back, nobody's gonna be saying yeeted something in 10 years from now. Do you remember back whenever, it was like in, I think, year 2000 or something, where, like, they had that Supermole commercial with, like, "What's up?" And, like, everybody would say that all the time for, like, 5 years. And now if you say that, you're, like, 45 and a crackhead that lives under a bridge. "What's up?" Yeah, exactly. And so that's an example of, like, it fell off. Remember the word pwned? Yeah, pwned, perfectly owned. I remember that. Nobody uses that anymore. It just dates it. It's so weird. I mean, obviously this show is basically about a guy that gets turned into a dog and gets to eat out a group of girls that all have sexual relationships with other dogs. I'm serious. This is literally what it's about. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, that's actually what it's about. Yep.
Unnecessary things.
How do you know? I watched a video about it.
And also people point out her infamous support for the...
7Cs apologizes for international English mistranslation of "I think I turned my childhood friend into a girl." Promises to revise script to more accurately reflect the author's original intent. So, like, the actual... Well, because this is the actual... what do you call it? this is straight up the actual, like, the people that made it. This is the people that made the original content. It's the publisher, yeah.
Mistranslations of this manga where other localizers were trying to paint a cross-dressing male character as a trans character.
Cross-dressing male character as a trans... Oh my god, bro, like... Holy fuck.
Reported that openly and said the translations were correct. And no, she was wrong. And 7Seas, who was responsible for it, came out and apologized and fixed these mistranslations.
There's people that, like, you know, it's like, as I said, man, if you're a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. It's like they're trying to make this look and make it be the way they want it to look and the way they want it to be. Femboy erasure. Yeah, exactly. Translator, one of those things they let you know in classes is respect the original source and not letting your personal opinions be involved. What she's doing is a disgrace to all translators. Well, yeah, and like it would also make sense that like with any show, because like for example, I'm sure a lot of shows don't really have this problem, right? Like there's a lot of shows that are probably just totally fine and there's no issues at all. But what I do think happens is that the people that have an agenda will actively seek out shows that have controversial like plot devices and plot points so they can edit those in a way that they feel is in line with their worldview. So like for example, I'm trying to think of an anime that like might not really have a lot of stuff like this. It's like there's no like weird themes or anything like that. Like Frieren, right? The new one that just came out. There's not like really a lot of weird themes or like sexual themes in it. There's like maybe 2 or 3 implications and that's it. Vinland Saga. Yeah, exactly. Like Vinland Saga. Like there's not really a lot of like weird sexual. So I bet like probably the translations on that, I would assume don't at least have this particular type of problem. But the shows that are like, you know, like romance shows and stuff like that, they probably do a lot more. Because that way it would make sense, right?
And also, going beyond just Katrina, people don't forget, these are all just random tweets of localizers boasting about abusing their power and their trust as a translator. And I think this one really just sums it up the best. It says, the true joy of localization really is seeing what you can get away with. And that attitude has been completely masked off for many years. Localizers have been openly saying this, openly saying that they want to get away with as much stuff as possible in their translation.
I don't see how they keep getting rehired with this. Like, that's what's so crazy to me is like they're literally broadcasting. They're like, yeah, bro, we love changing the shit. Like, why do you rehire these people?
And we all have seen this, and we're aware of it, and we don't like it, and we are vocal about it, but they just keep doing it. So moving forward, other localizers had quotes to say like
I wonder how Japanese people feel about this, you know? I was like, this is basically just like us. I mean, I'm sure that they don't like it, but like what like Japanese fans? They don't care. Yeah, they probably just don't give a fuck. That's actually a really good point. Yeah, they probably don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care what they do over there. Do whatever they want. Yeah.
Such disrespect for the substance of the original text is saddening,
good point.
Especially with a series as thoughtful as this one. Corporate greed knows no bounds, of course. It's funny to me also that the official tweet announcing this only mentions the AI part in Japanese. Shameless. Yeah, imagine disrespecting the original Japanese text. I can't imagine that, right? Localizers.
Yeah.
But some people replied to that saying, disrespect is when you can't force ancient memes and current year street slang into your Japanese...
Because, like, the other problem is, like, a lot of the people that write language like this, and, like, they try to introduce slang and stuff like that, they're not cool. So, like, they use the words in, like, these, like, uncool ways. It's like the opposite of cool. Yeah, they are these are the ones. I feel like every single person that does this and tries to change this stuff, every single one of them was a loser in high school. And I feel like I'm not certain, but I feel like I'm like 95% certain on this, right? Like, yeah, they do be sus, exactly. Cause like, I just, again, I go back and I always compare it with Cyberpunk. I compare it with, like, so if I think of, like, the best dialogue in games, in my opinion, Dark Souls 1, like, I would say Cyberpunk, Pulp, like any Quentin Tarantino film, let's be honest. Shit, I think that's a good start, right? Like, that's a good start. Baldur's Gate 3, see, I haven't gone through that yet, but Witcher was really good as well. Yeah, Dark Souls 3. Yeah, I like the way that Dark Souls 3 did language, and it was translated in an intentional way. Miyazaki even talked about it. But my point is that, like, I always compare it to that, and then I see yeeted. Jesus, man, that is bad.
Media localization.
Their job is to translate. Yeah,
honestly, this has been a long time coming and often deserved. And people were pointing out that this localizer has often inserted Gen Z language into different translations where it was completely inappropriate and didn't even make sense in terms of the story. So yeah, it makes sense that they would be upset about this. And here's another story. So yeah, it makes
scenes using Gen Z Japanese slang were localized to focus on a generational aspect instead. People got mad at it, so the lines were changed to be more plain and less faithful, kind of a nothing burger. I feel like, yeah, this is actually, like, this specific example, I think actually is kind of, it is kind of complex, because I'm sure that, like, Japanese people have, like, their own slang. You know, I don't think Japanese people are going around saying yeeted, right? Like, a 15-year-old in Japan is probably using different slang words. So, like, if you're translating one type of slang to another type of slang, I could see actually in, like, a very, very narrow slice where it would kind of make sense. They have slang? Yeah, of course they do. Do you see kind of what I'm saying? It's like you're translating Japanese slang to, like, American slang.
That they would be upset about this. And here's another situation where a person was essentially saying, nobody wants to deal with localizers, and you're kind of reaping what you sow.
Yeah.
And that's why people don't feel sorry that you're losing your jobs to AI. Where this localizer said, imagine preferring something with results that will definitely be wrong and bad over once in a blue moon seeing a line about a woman or a gay person or some other nonsense that makes you mad for simply existing. Remember, they don't give a shit about translation accuracy. It can be inaccurate as F, and they will never care. They will only care when that perceived inaccuracy collides with their conflicting worldview. Then they suddenly care a lot about accuracy.
So this is like whenever people say that all stories in all video games are political, whenever they compare you know, the ideals of Lord of the Rings to their awkwardly stated, like, allegory to Donald Trump. Like, these are the kinds of people that love comparing these two things, because what they're doing here is they're saying, well, we're the same, and so we're just doing two sides of the same thing. It's weird. Exactly. Yeah, there are a lot of shows and a lot of things that are not overtly political. They're not trying to push a strong message. And also, I think that the reason people like this that say stuff like this, everybody knows they're gaslighting. Everybody fucking knows this. It's obvious. So like this isn't, nobody's mad about seeing a gay person. What the fuck are you talking about? Nobody thought this. And so I think this is why people celebrate these people getting fucked over. It's because they deliberately mischaracterize the group of people that disagree with them as like racist or sexist or something like that, where it's like, no, we just want to have it be what it actually is, and we don't care about your worldview. Like, this is what I think these people don't understand, is that we don't want them to change, or at least I don't, right? I say we, like, who the fuck is we? It's me. I don't want them to change anything. I don't want them to add in a woman or a gay person, and I don't want them to fuck up the words. Just make it exactly the way it was, because that's your job. Your job is not to like modernize this. Your job is not to do this. Is like what the, and like how many of you guys agree with this? Just translate the material. Like, what is this? Yeah, not to push the narrative. Yeah. Because the reason why pushing these narratives is so bad is because whenever you start pushing the narrative, every single time that somebody reads a word like yeeted, or they read like a patriarchy comment or something like that, it immediately takes the immersion out of the story. Because they realize, wait a minute, I'm not actually in this fantasy world. I'm in this story that's being created as a vehicle to push an agenda or to show off how clever the writer is. Like, these things actively hurt the immersion of a story. That's why many stories don't break the fourth wall. And what I'm saying is that the obvious, clumsy, unintended, not by design, cultural appropriation that they put into these stories in order to push their ideals breaks the fourth wall. Because you can immediately see that. It's destroying the fantasy. Yes, it breaks the fourth wall.
So number one, classic pancakes waffles situation.
Yeah,
this user said, stop making low quality translations and inserting irrelevant things into your localizations. And that person says,
is one of the best
oh yeah, I
tweets
thought
of
you're
all
real
time.
afraid of gay people. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What does that have to do with
this?
anything? It's a complete deflection of valid criticism
Well,
about
what these people do is that they're bullies, right? And so they think that if you characterize the other group of people as if they're like this bad person, then they now have to defend against your mischaracterization. So now it changes the topic from like, what are you doing, to this person is like now accusing you of something instead. And I think that what's happened recently is people just don't care about that anymore. They just simply don't care about being called, oh, I hate gay people. No, I don't. Everybody knows that, and they just ignore it. Because I think that the shock value of that has kind of it's like a diminishing return. It's kind of gotten nerfed over time. And so now people just don't give a shit about it anymore because it's more easy to tell like what somebody's tricks are.
Localizers and their products they've made over the past decade plus.
Yeah.
And here's another tweet people are brutalizing right now. I took
this is, again, guys, this is the original ratio. More retweets or quote retweets or comments than likes. That was the original ratio, boys.
Screenshot last night. I believe it's gone from 400 quotes to well over 1,000 at this point. This aspiring localizer says, weebs realize the only reason they prefer subs is that it allows them to exoticize and fetishize a culture due to historical superiority complexes in cinema that is deeply rooted in racism, challenge level impossible.
I love how there's people that have like the words anarchy and stuff like this, and they are the softest people in the world. Like, if you like anarchy, go to some of these countries in Africa. They have basically anarchy. It's always these people. Yeah, these are the ones. Anybody that has anarchy in their name, the main thing that they're afraid of in a day is having to make eye contact with their DoorDash delivery person whenever they deliver their food. That's their big problem for the day. What are you talking about? I'm talking about these people, the anarchy, right? It's that these people have like these agendas and they act this way, and they're the biggest fucking soft losers in the world. They're edgy losers. Yeah, the internet tough guys. Yeah, it's like another version of internet tough guys.
This might be a contender of one of the worst tweets ever made. Even some voice actors and localizers are coming out and saying like, dude,
this
come
is
on.
too much.
You're making us look bad.
Yeah.
Please delete this. But yeah, here's a pretty good summation of what's been going on. This user said, translators be like, we need to make changes such as removing offensive content because it'll sell better. Blame capitalism, not us. But the only line change was a line that said,
well, that's not even true. Like, nobody gives a shit about that stuff. How many of you guys don't watch an anime because of like the language in it? Because like, oh, it's offensive. Nobody cares about it being offensive except for other people that care about it, except for other people that are trying to change it. Most normal people don't give a fuck about this stuff.
He's acting very suspicious too. He's being a sussy little baka. I mean, yeah, that's exactly kind of what they're actually changing in these localizations. They're taking completely normal lines and then adding in Reddit Gen Z language.
Jesus.
That makes no sense and people don't want to see it. And I made this response. This is kind of my final point of the video. I was responding to Chibi Reviews on Twitter, and if you don't know him, a great anime YouTuber, very nice guy too, would definitely recommend checking out his content. But I made this reply about the situation that really sums up my feelings and a lot of people's feelings, where this is an outcome, the use of AI translations, is something that should not have had to happen. Like, we should have proper translations done by humans.
No, I disagree with that. I think that the truth is that, like, people's life and their time has value. And if you can have a tool that can create the foundation that you can build the rest of it on, then you're doing yourself a favor. Like, we have printers nowadays. We have smartphones. We have all of these tools that make life easier. Stop trying to reduce life down to repeating menial tasks for money. Like, the only reason why people are fighting against AI is because AI is going to replace their jobs. Like, that's the only reason. It's not because it's not a good thing. It's not because it can't be used. It's because they don't want to lose their job to it, which is literally the worst mindset to have.
Localizers have been messing around with translations for so long that they're now finding out the consequences of this, and they're seeing that nobody besides their own peers in the localization industry feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
Yes, people who consume anime and manga do not like seeing AI translations. They would much rather see a proper one done by a human being. But localizers ruin that. And now when localizers are losing their jobs to AI...
People are upset about what I said. They said, bad take, you have one job, you don't know shit. I know everything about this. I understand it completely. And if I didn't understand it well, I wouldn't have triggered you well enough for you to type that message and try to insult me in chat. That's how I know that I understand it, is because I said it in a way that you knew that I was right, and that's why you're fucking mad. That's why you're getting mad, is because you know that I'm right.
People are just not
triggered,
sympathetic
crying
at all. And they're just saying, you reap what you sow. But that's going to do it for this video. I know a lot of topics in today's video, so feel free, as always, to share all of your thoughts about them in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
There it is. I think that was a really good video. I completely fucking agree. I still can't believe these changes. I'll link you guys a video. This was great. I believe technology is not evil, it's how it's used. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, there's a video. Give it a like. That's actually that's a good one. I like that a lot. Very interesting. Yeah, I had no idea about this translation shit. I had literally no fucking clue, man. And AI is even more scary. You can code the AI to have any bias you want. Oh yeah, for sure, right? But like the Kobayashi one is so out of left field. Yeah, that's so bad. Yeah, why is he an anime girl? Who cares, right? It doesn't matter. Like, I don't, like, who gives a fuck about that? The point is that I think that this is a big problem. You're right, of it happening. It doesn't mean it's a good thing about the jobless people. Sure, you don't care about them. Why would I care? But still. Well, all I'm saying is that, like, unless you can identify what a problem is, you can never address it. And I think that it's important to know what a problem is and to say what the problem is, rather than pretending like it's some sort of other greater ideal, because it's dishonest. It's not true, and you're having a conversation built off of something that's a lie. So that's what I think. And also, like, yeah, of course people are celebrating these people getting removed. Like, some of these translations are insane. Like, as I said, man, like, I couldn't even believe this. It's so bad. Yeah, it's confusing. You say government has so much. I don't want to argue and, like, explain to you my worldview, okay? Like, I'm not going to waste my fucking time. All I'm saying is that these people, the reason why there's such a pushback on AI, I think, is because people actively see it taking away their job. It's not about whether it's useful or not. and I think about the fact that they're worried about taking away their job, it means that they think that it is useful. Because if it wasn't useful and it actually wasn't useful, they wouldn't be upset about it because they would know that it wouldn't work. There's a reason why nobody worried about Tay taking their job back whenever Microsoft made that AI 10 years ago, because it was fucking garbage. But now everybody's talking about it because it's not bad. The fact that people are mad about it proves that it's good. It's the same reason why I said about video games. Look about the video game that they're doing special NBC reports about kids ruining their lives over that game. That's the good game. The Kobayashi one is the tip of the iceberg of the whole mess. So either way, I don't want to talk about the fucking AI shit. It's got nothing to do with this. People want to cry about that all they want. You're not going to change my opinion, and what I'm saying is going to happen. So, just have to wait. And so that's my point. They took our derbs, yeah. I think this is a huge issue. And I think that anytime you have a person that's going into a story and they are changing the story in order for that story to fit with their worldview, I think this is a bad thing. Now, are there exceptions? Are there changings of stories that make more sense? Yes, absolutely. Some examples. Saruman did not die by getting stabbed in the back by Grima Wormtongue on the top of Isengard. That did not happen in Lord of the Rings. That was done by Peter Jackson for the books. Let's see. What else besides that? In Fight Club. At the end of Fight Club, the ending of Fight Club in the book that was written by Chuck Palahniuk, I think it's his name, is totally different than the ending of the book, ending of the movie. And so there's that. Game of Thrones. Well, to be fair, a lot of the Game of Thrones deviations were fucking garbage. The point that I'm making is that totally different. Well, what I'm saying is that there are deviations from a story, but the deviations from the story, like the sacking of the Shire and all that in Lord of the Rings, the story, I actually think that you could make a very strong argument that, like, because Tolkien was in World War I, the sacking of the Shire and the aftermath of it was kind of showing the destruction, the residual destruction of, like, Europe after World War I. It's kind of like an allegory to that. So, like, maybe removing that actually kind of was altering some of the meaning of Lord of the Rings. I think actually that's probably the weakest argument that I have. But I think for the Fight Club example, and just in a general sense, that was also like, it was a subtext, right? It was not like a main point in the story. And my point is that changing a story to make it more adaptable for like a movie screen, or more adaptable for a book, or more adaptable for a TV show, all of these things make sense. These are all good things. But the problem is whenever you make it more adaptable for your worldview, this is totally bad. Didn't Tolkien say World War I was not an inspiration? Tolkien said a lot of things, and if we talk about this long enough, you'll see that I'm right. But I don't want to do that. Just, you can make a Reddit post and I can talk about it later on. That's it. I know what you're talking about, and you're wrong. But, yeah, Tolkien's dwarves, what's this here? They made sense until it's a one-to-one sub-dub change. Well, I think the truth is this, right? Is that you have, like, I'm sure that whenever you're translating things, there are decisions that you have to make that sometimes are not easy decisions. How do you make something like this make sense in the way that it was presented? You're definitely right. But I think that changing things and literally altering the story and adding in, random slang words, especially whenever they weren't originally there. You're not translating, for example, like translating Japanese slang to American slang is better than translating thrown to yeeted, if that makes sense. Because, like, the translation of Japanese slang wouldn't have really made sense in the first place. That's a great sketch about translation. Yeah. You want to understand anime fully or in Japanese. Well, it's not about understanding it. People just want to be able to watch the show and know what's happening. Changing events is one thing, but changing the complete meaning of words while keeping the same events is the problem. Yeah. Certain sayings and colloquialisms need to be paraphrased, but we don't need political messaging. You are exactly fucking right. That is 100% what I'm saying. Yeah, 100%. And Yeah, what's this here? And some words are impossible to translate because there isn't really a word, so it needs to be changed. You're absolutely right. And there are examples. I'll link you guys the video one more time, then I'll look at some other stuff. Yeah. Not understanding it is the point. It allows you to see into another culture, so ironically, by changing the intention, you actually reduce diversity. I think you make a good point, and for some people, they could see it that way. I don't think that that's a universal point, and that's true entirely, but I think that you do make a good point. Yeah, everything's political. Neutrality doesn't exist in art. I don't believe that. So, number one, I think the only people that say that are people that are trying to justify introducing their own political viewpoints. I think that there are a lot of stories that do not have overt political messaging. There's not like some sort of like greater ideal, some sort of like, modern, contemporary social concept they're trying to talk about. And also, even if everything's political, this thing isn't your political, it's their political. So whenever you change it, then it doesn't really matter whether it's political or not. I think that people just say everything is political so they can justify changing things and making them political. Because how many of you guys know the obvious difference between something with a message and something without it? Because like for me, I can easily spot it. It's so fucking obvious. Everybody fucking sees it. I hate being gaslit. Yeah, you're not going to goof me around on that. I know exactly what's going on. Everybody does. That's why people are celebrating these people losing their jobs. It's because they're getting gaslit and they're tired of it. They said everything's political so they can interject their politics. You're exactly right.